morning. This is June 10th, 2024, Central Time, United States Time. My name is Shemaiah Davis. This is Pitch Perspective, where we dive into what's going on in the football world, or in the United States, as we like to call it, the soccer world. So let's dive in. So there's a lot going on this summer for football. There is the European Championship going on. There's the Copa America. So that's a lot of football that's going on right now, and so it's a lot going on. We've been seeing a lot of the international friendlies going on, and I saw Portugal lose to, who did they lose to the other day? Was it Hungary? They lost to. They lost to somebody, but the big thing was that the big question in the room is Cristiano going to be the starter for Portugal? And we just had a little glimpse of what Portugal would look like without Cristiano being in the team, and they don't look really good. They have a lot of good players, but it will be very interesting to see what happens with that, and how Portugal navigate that European Championship. It would be nice to get for Portugal to win another one for Ronaldo, but that'll be interesting to see. And then you have France, which is one of the favorites, and they have so many good young talent. Kylian Mbappe, they have Dembele, they have Kingsley Coman, they have, Turan, the goalkeeper, they have, Conde, the defender. They have a lot of great talent, and it's just be very, very, very interesting to see what France does and if they can get over that hump, because you remember they won the World Cup, but did not win the Euros. They got beat by, was it England that beat them in the Euros? I believe so. No, they beat England, but they lost to Italy in a final, I believe, the last one. And so yeah, it'll be very nice to see, if France, can get over that European Championship hump, and actually win a Euros. Because as for the World Cup, they're up there. They're known for winning the World Cup, but the Euros not so much. The interesting thing is there's been this debate going on about if players that go to the Saudi League can come and play at a high level, with other European and players that are playing in the tough leagues in Europe. And some people will say that the Saudi League is not as competitive enough, and so players' levels will drop. But the problem is you have Conte that's been called up by the French team, and he looks like he's in shape, and he looks like he can still play. You have Ronaldo that's still playing, for Portugal. You have Arnautovic that did really good in the Saudi League, that's playing for his country. So, and you have a lot of players, not a lot, but about 5 to 10 players that are playing the Euro Championship, that are coming from the Saudi League, and it'll be very interesting to see how they fare on, and how if they can debunk that myth that playing in the Saudi League, drops your level and your competitiveness, and you cannot keep up with the players that are playing in the leagues on Central Europe, and so that'll be very interesting to see. And then who else? You see England. England have one of the best talent pool in the Euros. Everybody's expecting England to win something. The last time they came close, they went to the final, I believe so, and they lost to Italy. Yeah, so France was not in the final. Sorry, I said France was in the final. France got beat, but England was in the final against Italy, and they lost that game in England at Wembley. And so this year, most people are expecting that England will get over that hump, but the problem is Southgate. Gary Southgate made some changes that were very shocking. He dropped Maguire, which is his golden boy, even if when Maguire was not playing at United, he still picked him. He dropped, which one? Jack Grealish, who had a great season at City this year, won the Premier League title, and which is surprising that he dropped him. And he dropped some notable names. Was James? Not James Milner. Milner have not been picked for England. Henderson, James Henderson from Liverpool that went to Saudi League. He has not been picked. So a lot of the core guys, Raheem Sterling from Chelsea, who has been very crucial and very big for this England team, has not been picked for this Euros. So you have a lot of young players that are going in, for their first tournament, and a lot of attacking talent. And it'll be very interesting to see if England chokes again, because if they do, then most likely it's not the players. Most likely it will be Southgate, because he's making some decisions that a lot of people are questioning as to if he's the right man for the job. I think he's been there for, I believe, 8 years, and they have not won any major trophies yet. They've come close, but they've not won anything with that talent pool. And some might say this is another golden generation for England. And if they don't win anything, they'll just be like the other golden generation that they had good players but couldn't win at the national level. And so it'll be very interesting to see, what happens with England if they will actually go ahead and get over that hump, or what's will this be the ending of Gareth Southgate, and if he's gonna go to Manchester United, which is a very interesting dynamic that's going on right now, because United has been saying for the last 2 weeks they're doing the season end review to see if Eric Ten Hag will still hold his job as a manager, but they're just dragging it on, and experts are saying that they're dragging it on because they don't want Ten Hag, but they don't have a replacement for him yet. And some are speculating that Gary Southgate is their most likely option, to replace Ten Hag. And so it's very interesting to see what happens. But I don't get United, because yeah, Ten Hag has struggled, but he just won a cup. You gotta give him credit for that. They won a cup. So if you're gonna fire the guy, you might as well fire him. You can't keep dragging it on and waiting for a potential manager that has the England job right now, which might, in the end, might be a very good strategic move. But right now, it just looks messy. And then they have the problem of Jadon Sancho. From what we are hearing from Fabrizio Romano and all the other analysts, is that they want to sell Jaden, and that's just very interesting because he just had a really really good season with Dortmund. So from my understanding, it looks like Ten Hag is the problem. I think if you bring a new coach in, and because that relationship has already been ruined between Sancho and Ten Hag. So if you bring a new coach in that brings a different ideology and that includes and Sancho into that dynamic, I think he can play it and perform for United, but not under the current manager at United. So that'll be very interesting to see what happens. And I think his performance at the Euro will be very crucial, and will also add to his stock, and how much he's worth, and what United do, because there's a lot of players that are playing at the Euros that having a good tournament would change the dynamics of where they go and how much they're worth, and having a bad season in the Euros also might affect them in a negative light. So it'll be very interesting to see what's going on with England in that case. Other teams in the Euro, we have Germany. Germany team is very interesting. You have a lot of the core guys, but I don't really see Germany going that far, even though the Euros has been held in their home country. So I don't know if Germany will muster the courage to actually prove everybody wrong, because right now they don't really have the team to do so. But you never count the Germans out. That's one thing I've learned over time watching Germany. You never count them out. So it'll be very interesting to see if they can actually win it at home, because there's a lot of great talent on display, for the Euros, and it will be very interesting to see. And then you have the Netherlands. You have Memphis Depay, that is, I think second in line for the most goals scored for his country, and he, I mean, I didn't really watch that much of him this season, but he's one of those guys that that just, he's just been good for country. He scores a lot of goals. He's very valuable for the Dutch, the Dutch team, and so we will see how they look. I saw them in the international friendlies before the Euro start this Friday, and they look good. They look good. And actually, I thought the winger from Bayern Leverkusen, and Frimpong, I thought he was a Ghanaian kid. But then I saw him playing for the Netherlands. I was like, interesting, because that last name sounds very African. And but then again, African players playing for European teams that were born in Europe or even have parents that one parent that is European. It's a very common thing. We see that with France a lot. And so that was a shock for me because I thought he was a Ghanaian, because when I heard the name, I was like, oh, Frimpong, that's definitely Ghanaian, but he's playing for the Netherlands, and he's a very good player. He had a great season with Xavi Alonso, at Bayern Leverkusen. So we will see, how the Netherlands do, and all the dynamics playing into it, and see if they can actually make a good run within the Euros this season, this tournament coming up. And who else is it's actually it's actually will actually be a threat. I don't know who the dark horse in this tournament is, but I'm excited. There's going to be a lot of football going on, you know, and this is a great summer to be a football fan, to watch some great soccer. And then we flip over to the Copa America. This one's going to be very interesting because I don't know if this is the first time. It might be the first time that both South America and Central America teams, and North American teams are joining together, for the Copa America, because you have Mexico in there, you have Costa Rica in there, you have Jamaica, you have the United States, you have Canada, you have all the most of the top guns in the North American conference that are joining South America for the Copa America. So it's it's been held in the United States here. And so it's gonna be very, very, very interesting to watch, to see, who comes out on top. I mean, we just watched the last friendly, international friendly, with the USA team, and OMG, it was like a practice session with Colombia. Colombia just destroyed them. I don't know why the United States, which is my country, which I believe football is really growing in this country. The MLS is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I remember, you know, what 10, 20, 10, 15 years ago, when I was just a little kid, a teenager, and I was playing, and MLS was still growing, and it was just so much excitement, about where the league is going, and we all thought that by year 2026, the MLS or American soccer would be on top, or not on top, but on a level playing field as South America or Europe, in regards to quality and talent, and just overall. But we were dead wrong. It's not even close. It is not. And we can see it with the national team, and they just look. Against Colombia. It looked like a practice session. Colombia was just taking the mick out of the United States, and so it's just sad to watch. And also the coach, I don't know why they kept him. They need fresh ideas. They need fresh players. They need fresh ideology if the United States is going to mount a challenge at some point in world football. And so that was very interesting to see. But we'll see. They're on home soil, so hopefully they can muster some good performances, and make, the USA proud. Because the fan base here is very, very deep. It's very, very, very engaged, and people are looking forward to seeing some great football. And so, and then you have Brazil is always a favorite when they go to any tournament. And you have Brazil, you have Argentina. Those are the two. Messi's still playing. Messi right now has changed the entire dynamics of the MLS. and Major League Soccer, and he's definitely the GOAT because he's just making football look so easy in the United States. And so this is a tournament also to grow his brand here in the United States, and also make people that really don't know who he is, which, surprisingly, there are people in this country that do not know who Lionel Messi is, which is funny, but there are. And so this is a chance for him to, grow that brand and grow that awareness of, yeah, I'm the GOAT and I'm the best that I have ever done it. And so it'll be very interesting to see, how both teams, go about it. But just sticking on Brazil, this post Neymar, you know. But now you have a new poster boy, Endrick. This kid is unbelievable, man. I believe he's played three three games, three international games for Brazil, and on an each sorry, in each game he scored a winner. It's which is amazing, and it's just I can't wait to see what he does in this tournament, and also what he does at Madrid. Because he's another one that's going to Madrid next season. So it'll be very interesting to see, how that plays out. But Brazil look like they're good. Their defense don't look so good. They gave up some easy goals in the last friendly they played. But attacking wise, they look great. They look great. They have some young talent that are coming through the pool, and it'll be very interesting to see if they can get over the hump, and win another Copa America because it's been a while since they won Copa America. And but as for Argentina by far has one of the best teams. This is the reigning world champions, and they have all their players returning. They got a lot of young players, that's in that group, and we'll see if they can repeat, winning another major and trophy and tournament, and so that, yeah, that's it's very exciting to see, and that starts on Thursday, also this coming Thursday. And so, yeah, it's gonna be a lot of football going on, and even I'll try to see if I can go catch some games because it's in my neck of the wood, so we'll see if we can get some tickets to go see some games. But and then you have, which I'm very excited also to see how Ecuador does, because I'm a Chelsea fan, and you have Moses Caicedo and Kendrick Pius. Kendrick Pius, is it Kendrick Pius? Pius is the other Chelsea player that we bought that's still playing in Ecuador, and we're waiting for him to turn 18 to come to Stamford Bridge. And it'll be very interesting to see how he does in this tournament, and if he adds more to his stock, and so that will be interesting. And yeah, so that's technically what's going on in the soccer world. Now there's two major tournaments going on. There's going to be a lot of football, a lot of playing, and which is great for us fans to watch, and that will be very, very, very exciting. I am very, very excited because it's only like 3 or 4 days before that those major tournaments start. And now that we talked about that, let's go back to club soccer and transfer news. So we will start with Fulham. Why Fulham? Because there is a great midfielder at Fulham that I think would be on the verge of moving to Bayern, because I remember last transfer window, Tuchel was trying to get Paulinho from Fulham, and apparently he was in Germany. The personal terms were agreed upon, and they were ready to unveil him, but Fulham could not find a replacement for him, for the season. So that deal fell through, and he had to return back to Fulham, to finish this season, and which it showed great maturity and great professionalism on his part, because he never wavered. He never, he was, there was no backlash from him. He was a true professional. He had a great season. He stayed professional. He gave his all for Fulham, and I think that move is gonna happen now. This summer, and it's just excited to see what he does in Bayern colors. But the biggest thing with this whole transfer is that you have Joshua Kimmich that is running out of contract at Bayern, and I believe there was some tussle between him and Tuchel because positionally, Tuchel didn't want him playing defense in a defensive midfield position. I think Tuchel rather fancied him on the right as a right back, which is where he played mostly this season for Bayern. And so it's just from what I'm seeing going on at Bayern, it seems like I don't think Bayern rates him as much, and they're open to selling him. So it'll be very, very interesting to see where he goes because with the inclusion of Paulinho, which is the position that he originally plays, which we're accustomed to seeing him play, and however, I think he's an all-round player. You can put Kimmich anywhere and he can perform. And so it'll be very interesting to see, where he goes and how that plays out with Paulinho coming in. And then we go to my team, Chelsea. Oh man, there's a lot going on with Chelsea. Chelsea right now needs a striker, definitely. Nicholas Jackson is great, and I think he will come through eventually. I mean, he had a great first season, but we need a second striker. And at one point, I thought it was Osimhen, but apparently Napoli is has a release clause for over I think 80 or 90 million dollars, and that's a lot for Osimhen because this season was not the greatest. I believe he scored 13, 14 goals this season, and so I don't know why you will put that type of price tag on a player like that when his stock has dropped since he had a 40 goal season last season, all right? Previous season before, but this season that just passed, his stock dropped. He didn't score as much. And so if anybody's gonna go for Usman, Napoli is gonna have to drop that price. And I know Conte is the coach at Napoli, and he's a great manager. And I don't understand why Conte would not want Osimhen in his team. But then most likely it might be that relationship with Napoli itself has already been ruined with the whole racism accusation and what happened in previous years, and so probably that might be the case. But it'll be very interesting to watch to see where Osman ends up. I wish he ends up at Chelsea. That would be great, but I don't think Chelsea is paying that type of money. And then this new striker, I don't really know that much about him. It's Benjamin Sesko and RB Leipzig. And he's the first thing I went online and type in his name and watch his highlight. What I noticed is that number one, he's a left foot striker, which is a good thing. Left foot players always have an advantage, you know, and he's tall, he's big, he's a big boy. And so, which is good for Chelsea because we need some height, and that changes the dynamic because we have a lot of players that play to the feet, like Jackson and Cole Palmer and Sterling and Madueke, that can play to the feet and create. But we don't have that big striker in the middle that will win all those balls in the air and be a threat in the air in in conjunction to the threat we have right now on the ground. And so that'll be very interesting. He's a great player. I think I'm a little bit concerned to see if the levels in the Bundesliga in comparison to the Premier League, if he can adjust fast and quick and be effective. Because yeah, there's been a lot of players that have come to from the German league to the English league and done well, but doesn't mean that always happens. Especially when we are speaking about strikers for Chelsea. Chelsea is like there's a curse going on since Diogo Costa left. We've not really had a striker that has had that type of impact since Costa and or Drogba, left Chelsea. So it's very interesting to see this new name popping up. I really had no idea who he was until I went online and did some research. But apparently, it's not just Chelsea; it's Arsenal. There is Manchester United that's interested. If I was Sesko and you have Chelsea, Arsenal, and Man U, Chelsea's a great club. London's a great city. But there's few things with Chelsea that might deter him to go to a different team. Number one, Chelsea have this new wage bill structure where I believe a player can earn more than $150,000 a week, which is going to be a problem because if you want the top talents, if you want players that are gonna make a difference, players that are up there, you got to pay more. Nobody wants to play for, penny on the dollar when other teams are paying huge wages. Because your soccer career is not that long, so your goal is to milk that cow. You know, you know, milk your time of playing and get them the most amount of money in the time frame what you're playing. That's the goal of each player. If I was playing at that level, that's what I'll be looking at. So yes, it'll be nice to go to a team that has a history of winning, even though they're not winning right now for Sesco. But also, if you're paying him less money and then you're just going off of ideology and what your project looks like, I'm not picking you. I'm sorry. I'm going to the team that's gonna be paying me the most money, and I'm gonna be playing Champions League. And right now it's Arsenal. Arsenal is the only team among those three that have Champions League that right now are up there, and that have the wage bill where they will pay him the money he's looking for, right? Where they don't have a cap on how much they'll pay you, per year. And so it'll be very interesting to see if Chelsea lands Sesko. If they do, I really want to know what they told him and how they pulled that off because, you know, Chelsea's not a big gun when it comes to getting players right now because Chelsea has not been winning lately. And so it's very interesting to see how they're getting all these players. So that's one striker that's on the radar. And who else is have they been talking about? That's I think those are the major ones that I've seen so far, you know. And then you have this whole model, which is very interesting because at one point, when the new owners, when Todd Bowley and clearly Capital came and bought Chelsea, you know, they came with this ideology and this plan that they're gonna buy a lot of young talents, and that's how they're gonna build their team, which is nice to see a lot of young players. But the problem with young players is where Chelsea's having the problem right now is they are not and winning right now. They're making mistakes, and they're still learning their trade in the Premier League. And so there's a lot of patience that comes with that. And for a club like Chelsea, yes, you can build for the future, but you got to be winning now. That there is no question about that because if you're not winning now, you're not Chelsea. Chelsea always finds a way to win. And just any top team, yeah, you can be building for the future, but you also have to be winning now. And so that whole strategy of buying young and keeping them together and making them grow, into this, you know, team that you're looking for, which is nice. It's not a bad approach, but the problem is talking about right now. Sports is about right now. It's about if I'm winning right now, and so at one point we're very skeptical as fans, especially me as a fan. It's like, what are they doing? But then if you look at the Real Madrid, you're like, huh. So I think Chelsea is onto something here because Madrid is doing the same thing. Madrid is going to South America and buying all these young like Endrick, and they did it with Rodrigo. They did it with Vinicius Junior, and they've done it with a lot of players where they buy them young, and when they turn 18, they bring them to Madrid, and eventually look at what they have right now. Madrid have a great young squad that I think will be dominating for a long period of time in the to come. And so that's a good approach. But only the little slight difference between what Madrid is doing and what Chelsea is doing, because Chelsea is doing the same thing. Chelsea is buying a lot of young talents, 16, 17-year-old kids that have the potential of being great players. And they're buying them young, and then eventually they're hoping that they come good when they get older, when they come to England and make their mark. The slight difference is that Madrid just didn't go and got rid of their entire team and buy a bunch of young players and say, okay, these are the players that we are going to nurture and build our team around, and you guys all figure it out together. Madrid kept their core, kept a lot of experience in their team to allow these young players to grow and learn for experienced professionals that have been doing it for years on before years on at a high level and winning trophies at a high level. It's one thing coming into a locker room where you can look at a guy like Tony Kroos. You can look at a guy like Luka Modric. You can look at a guy like Carvajal. You can look at a guy like Nacho, who's been there his entire life and they've set a standard. They've been serial winners over the years, and say, okay, when I come in, I want to be like that guy. I look at how he trains. I look at how he takes care of his body. I get advice from him. That helps me as a young player grow into that role, which really happened with Vinicius Jr. and Rodrigo. When Vinicius first came, he had a tough time. Even Benzema was telling his teammates, don't pass him the ball, right? But he came into a team that was winning, and now we see what he is. In my opinion, he's the best player in the world right now, and I'll be surprised if he doesn't win the Ballon d'Or. However, Chelsea approach is a little different. Chelsea got rid of all their experience and bring a bunch of young kids together and say, hey, yeah, figure it out, and you're gonna be the next thing. Doesn't work that way. So that takes time and patience, and that's what we're seeing with this Chelsea team. It's frustrating. You see the potential there, but right now you got to go through some highs and lows. It's a roller coaster, and that's what Madrid did not do. And so I think Madrid approach is a lot better than Chelsea approach, which the end goal is the same concept, but Madrid is winning now and building for the future, whereas Chelsea is building for the future but not winning now. And so I think that's the biggest difference between the two models. But it's a very interesting model. I think it works. Buying young players and have a core of young players that are going to be together for 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years and play together and grow as they go on. And so that we'll see if Chelsea can tweak their model just a little bit, bring a little bit more experience, and that way hopefully we can see some winning now, and as these kids start to develop, and it will be a very good time for Chelsea fans in the future. But at this point, and we're very, 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 we're very, very unsteady, and nobody really knows what's going to happen at Stamford Bridge. So that is two different approaches, and it'll be very interesting to see how that works. And other transfers in the Premier League, what's going on at Man City? Edison wants to leave. Apparently, from what we hear, I mean, he's been the best goalie in the world for a long while. And some will argue that Thibaut Courtois is the best goalie, but he's been out for a while. So, me personally, I give it to Edison and the Brazilian keeper. But apparently, he wants to leave. And so it'd be very interesting to see where he goes. I would love for my team, who needs a goalie, to pick him up, but I don't think they're gonna be paying that type of wages that he's looking for. So most likely he might end up in the Saudi league. So if I was him, that's what I would do. I've won everything there is to win in world football: Champions League, Premier League, World Club Cup, FA Cup, all everything. Go make your money. Go where they're gonna pay you the most money. Because you can go to Saudi Arabia and make what you made your entire career in 2 years. If you are that profile, and especially like Edison, that would be very great to see. Where he's headed, and which is Pep, man. What Pep does is unbelievable, because I don't think he's really sweating Edison leaving, because you have a great replacement for him, which is Ortega. The number two, and so it'd be very interesting to see if Edison actually leaves, and then you have Alvarez. I mean, he came in. He's won the treble. He's won the Champions League, Premier League, FA Cup. This year, they won Premier League again. He won the World Cup. He has literally won everything in world football. And he's very young. I think he's what, 24, 25, something around that. But the interesting thing is, he does not want to stay at City. He wants playing time. He does not want to be back up to Erling Haaland. And from what we're hearing, the reports from City is that they don't want to sell him, but he wants to leave. He's like, hey, man, I've won everything. I want to play. And if I'm not going to play here, which at City, it's not guaranteed. Excuse me. Because there's so many good players. It's not really guaranteed. If you're gonna play. That's Pep Guardiola. You have to fit within his system, and then most of the time he fits his system around the players he has. But you're not guaranteed game time every week when there's other players as good as you on that team. So I can understand why Alvarez wants to leave. Question is, where is he gonna land? Chelsea, my team, Chelsea is going for him, which would be a great addition for us because Maresca's ideology is similar to Pep because that tiki-taka soccer from what we've read and what's been said about Maresca, and that would be a great asset to have a Premier League striker that can score goals, that know what it means to play in the Premier League and has experience and has won trophies. That would be a great addition to that Chelsea lineup. But once again, it comes down to salary. At Chelsea, going to pay break that rule is set about not paying a player more than 150,000 a week. Because if you're going to get a player like that at that caliber, you got to pay the money. And in the past that's never been a problem for Chelsea. So I don't know why all of a sudden now the new ownership have changed that. But so it would be very good to watch what's going on, what's going on with Alvarez, and Pep has one more season left on his contract. Jurgen Klopp has left, by and Liverpool. There's a new sheriff coming in town as with Anne Slot. So all the big major managers that were good and known to be top managers in the Premier League that won a lot are starting to phase out. Klopp is gone. Tuchel left. Pep, got one more year left on his contract. So it'll be very interesting to see if he stays. And if he does, or if he does not, who's going to be the next coach at City? And the City dominance stops. Because I believe without Pep Guardiola, City ain't winning like the way they've been winning lately. That guy knows how to win. He knows how to set his team up. And if he's not there anymore, I think there's more of a chance for other teams to win the Premier League. Because right now it's the City League. Easy. Nobody can argue that. So it will be very interesting to see the Premier League go back, be more competitive in nature if Pep Guardiola is not there anymore. So there's a lot of change coming on the horizon. City's going through the lawsuit of the Premier League and all the charges against them. Who knows if they will actually win that case, or they will lose, and some of these points will be deducted if trophies will be taken away from them because of the violations. So there's a lot of change on the horizon. So it'd be very interesting to see what happens in that case, and if City can can get through this hump and get through this time, and if other teams in the Premier League can muster a challenge to challenge City's dominance currently. And it'll be very interesting to see what happens. And speaking about Pep Guardiola, I was just watching the NBA Finals last night. On last night there was a game also, but the first game in Boston, and Pep was there, which is very interesting because Joe Mazzulla is one of the youngest coaches in an NBA playoff. If he wins in an NBA, if he wins the trophy to win an NBA title, and he generates, or he gets advice from Pep Guardiola, who was at the game. They have a great relationship, and I believe he's learning from his man management skills and his managerial skills. And it's very interesting to see how the soccer relates to basketball in that sense. And a basketball coach can go learn from a guy that's a serial winner and obviously know what he's doing to apply it in basketball, which was very interesting. It's very nice to see, that relationship and Pep at the NBA game and away from soccer, and Mozzilla's doing a great job in the NBA. They've won 2 games, so it's very interesting to see that how Pep is influencing just the coaching world in general, not just football, but globally, different sports, and so That's a good touch, and it's very interesting to see what type of advice he's giving Mazula, and how their relationship, has will build on and moving forward. And the question is, what's next for Pep Guardiola? If he leaves City, where is he gonna go next? He's wanting Spain. Everybody knows that. That's when the famous tiki taka soccer came around. He's won in Spain. He went to Bayern. He won. He didn't win the Champions League, but he did win. He did win in Bayern, and now he's in England, and he's owned the Premier League. Nobody thought he would, but he has. And so, what's next? Is he gonna go to the Italian league? I probably doubt that. Or is he gonna coach the national team, and Spain, the Spanish national team, or come to the U.S. or go to Saudi Arabia for a gazillion amount of dollars? And so it'd be very interesting to see what Pep Guardiola next step will be in the coaching world, and what we will see next from him. That's very exciting. And then we go to Arsenal and Mikel Arteta. Is next season gonna be the season that Arsenal get over the hump, or will somebody else muster a challenge? Because this year was City and Arsenal. I mean, Liverpool choked because I thought the club was gonna make was gonna go out with a bang one last season, but in the end they ended up choking. So the question is Arsenal gonna continue on the trajectory that they're on right now, and is next year the year they're gonna win the Premiership, even though Pep is still around for his last year? And one would like to think that yes, Arsenal will be better next year, but there's you never know. You never know what's gonna happen. The question is, I think one of the biggest thing is they need to add a little bit more depth to their team. They did a great job this year. They put up a very good fight, but in the end, it just came down to what, 3 points? That's crazy. 3 points. There's one game, one slip up cost them the title, and so that's how good City has been, and how perfect City has been over the last, 8 years, and so it'll be very interesting to see what happens next year if Arsenal can muster that challenge again, and actually get over the hump this year. And when I remember when Arteta first got to Arsenal, you know, everybody wanted him out. Even the Arsenal fans wanted him out because they were struggling, and he stirred the ship, and he got a lot of players. I remember he got Aubameyang and Ozo, and all those guys were shipped out, and he brought in his own players, and now we can see what he's doing with a little bit of patience. Arsenal was willing to be patient with him, and he is setting the Premier League on fire, and it would be very nice to see him keep projecting and keep progressing, and hopefully Arsenal can win a Premier League title in this decade or in the last 3 decades. Because I can remember the last time Arsenal won a Premier League title, so it'll be nice because they did all the good stuff, the challenge, but they ended up with nothing this year, not one trophy. And so it'd be very interesting to see what type of tweaks Mikel Arteta does with Arsenal, and what eventually allows them to get over that hump and win the Premier League title. And so it'll be very exciting to see what they add. And then who else do we go to Tottenham? For Tottenham, would they obviously, but Postecoglou Postecoglou is a great manager, and for a first season in the Premier League he did pretty good, you know. But question is, this year is the year where he's really going to be judged, because yes, his first season he came in, and he kept Spurs in the Europa League, all right, and which is a great achievement, even though some people don't think it was. But that's a great achievement in the Premier League for your first season. And so they have a lot of young players at Spurs too, with the departure of Harry Kane, and everybody thinking that if Kane leaves, Tottenham, will go down. They'll probably be a mid-table team, but Tottenham proved them wrong. They still have Song. They still added a lot of good pieces to that core group, and so it'll be very interesting to see what Postecoglou does next season, because I feel if he does not replicate what he did this season or better, they will fire him. Daniel, the Tottenham fans expect a lot, even though they've not won anything yet. But it will be nice to see Postecoglou break that curse and win Tottenham a trophy. And so, I mean, Tottenham is our London rivalry rival, and so I'd rather see Chelsea win than Tottenham. But this season, in the first half of the season, better half of the season, they play some good soccer, and they were showing signs of a promising start of winning in the future. So, be very interesting to see what happens with Tottenham. And then you have Unai Emery, the wild card of this season. I mean, this guy was at, where was he at? Who fired him? Was it Everton? I believe it was Everton. If I'm wrong, was it I think it was Arsenal. Yeah, it was Arsenal. They fired him. They didn't think he was good enough, and he resurfaced. Aston Villa. They were punching again above their weight. They had Olin Watkins, who was amazing this season. Watkins had a great season. He scored a lot of goals, non-penalty goals, which is a thing now. And they added some good pieces like Musa Diaby, and John McGee was great this season, and Yori Tillerman, had a great season too. So, they have a good core, the Aston Villa team, and they're playing Champions League football, next season, this coming season, and so it'll be very interesting to see what they do if they can maintain themselves in the top four. I don't think they will, because I wish Chelsea would replace them, my team. But it'll be very interesting to see another team come up and challenge in that top six, in the Premier League, and it'll be very interesting to see what Unai Emery does, and if he's able to acquire the pieces that he needs to propel Aston Villa, to keep improving and keep moving up and keep being revered as a top 14. I believe they've approached Chelsea for Conor Gallagher, and so that'll be interesting to see if, I don't know why Chelsea would want to sell Conor Gallagher. I don't get this. For me, it's very simple. You have all these players that you have their profile, you have what they're worth and what they can do, because mostly they look at what they've done in the past to project as to what they're worth and what they can do. But for me, the biggest indicator is availability. You can be the best player in the world, you can have all the skills, you could have scored all the goals in the past, but if you're not available day in, day out, game in, every game, if you're not available to play and perform, what good are you? I don't understand that. You can be great, but if you're not playing, how great are you? And that's what Conor Gallagher brings. He is available 24/7. He is always available. He's not injured. He's never injured. He's always fit, and he's always playing. For me, that's worth more than the potential of what this guy might do. Because if you can't show me you can do it on a daily basis and you're available for me, so why would Chelsea want to sell a guy like that? That is for a team that has been plagued with injuries all season, last season, and the seasons before, where they at one point had, I think at least 15 players on the team that on the first team that were injured, and you want to sell the guy that is the most available for you to a different club because of pure profit. That makes no sense to me. Like, none whatsoever. Because the guy's available, the guy's fit, and he's an all-round player. You know, he might not be your star player, Number one, he's been at the club for his entire life. He knows what it means to be a Chelsea player. Number two, he loves Chelsea. Connor will give 100% every single game. He's always available. He's never injured, right? And so, why would you want to sell a player like that? I don't get it. I don't know what's going on at Chelsea and what these scouts and these owners are seeing, and they want to sell a player like Conor Gallagher. The same thing with Nicola Jackson. People criticize Nicola Jackson all the time, for him missing chances, but Nicola Jackson is available every single game, never gets injured. So I don't get it. I don't get why play and teams want to sell players that are available and always playing and have that game experience and playing in big matches, whether lose or win. You want that. You want somebody like that that's on your team. If I was the coach, so I think Conor Gallagher is a very, very valuable asset to Chelsea. So, I think also his performance at the Euros, which is a very interesting dynamic right now, because before some were questioning if he was actually going to play. But after what we saw, the debacle we saw in the last friendly, where England played Kobe Mano and Declan Rice, and that don't look like a good partnership. They need somebody to make it more stable, and I think that's where Connor comes into the dynamics, because he's a defensive midfielder. He's known for playing always and having the energy to cover ground and spaces. And so this is a little opening for him to display to the world how much he's worth, even though I know how much he's worth, but apparently other people in the football world don't really rate Connor. And so if he has a good Euro with England, I think that changes a lot of the dynamics for Chelsea. Oh, who knows? Probably it might make his stock higher and they might get more money for him, but it would be ludicrous to sell Connor, you know, out of that Chelsea team. You need some type of spine. And Connor is one of those guys that will provide that. And so yeah, it's just very interesting to hear all these rumors about Connor and Chelsea wanting to sell him for pure profit. And then also let's go to Trevor Chalobah. I love Trev. Trev is a good player when he's fit, and I don't understand once again, why Chelsea will want to get rid of somebody that's been in the Chelsea Academy, knows what it means to be a Chelsea player, and embodies what it means to be Chelsea. Want to sell him again, and not just you can want to sell and Trevor, which I understand, but the problem is the guys that you have that's supposed to replace Trevor, or that's supposed to be there to do the job that Trevor does in the latter half of the season, they are not better than Trevor, which I believe. Disasi is also always available, but Disasi makes a lot of mistakes. Unfortunately, I don't know if it's because it was his first season in Premier League, but he's mistake prone. And then you have his counterpart. What's his name? What's the gentleman name? The other French center back for Chelsea, Badia Show. He is mistake prone too. He makes a lot of mistakes also. So among those two, and then you have Leslie Fofana, who I think is a great player, but has really haven't seen him for Chelsea. He played about 2 or 3 games since they bought him from Leicester. Chelsea's known for buying injured players, and so you can depend on him. And so you want to sell the one guy that is reliable, that is, since he came off injury, was consistent, and it looks like a leader out there. It makes no sense to me. I would keep that guy. If anything, I'll sell one of the other two, because I wouldn't be spending my money on center backs when you have Disarcy, Badiashile, Trevor Chalobah, Fofana's coming back now. Who else is center back? You got four. Why would you want to go buy another center back? Or four center back? Why you want to sell this guy? You can make money off of. If you're looking to sell pure profit players, you have Ian Matson, you have Armando Broya, who's apparently gonna go for $30 million. You have Lewis Hall at Newcastle. You have Amari Hutchinson, who a lot of Premier League teams want. That's four guys you can sell and make over $100 million. To stay in line with financial fair play. So why would you want to sell a guy like Trevor? It just beats my mind. I really don't understand that part. And so yeah, it's very interesting to see how this transfer window is going, and the decisions that are being made, and players that are being sold. Because my biggest thing, if I was a scout, is potential. Yes, a lot of teams buy players based on potential and past performance, but they should be looking at availability. How many games is this player playing? How much is he available? Because like I said before, you can be as good as you can be. You can be Messi, but if Messi was not available for every game at Barcelona, nobody would be talking about Messi the way we talk about him, or Cristiano Ronaldo. These guys are available. These guys never get injured. These guys are always playing games, and at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. And so a lot of these transfers, this window, will be very interesting to see. And then speaking about the transfer of Armando Broya, this is an interesting one. Everything FC is willing to pay a $30 million or $30 million or above for Armando Broya. Ah, Chelsea, Chelsea is laughing to the bank on this one, because if I was everything, yes, I think he can be a good player, but he has not showed that he's worth 30 mil. I wouldn't buy him for 30 mil. But that's good for Chelsea. If they're gonna buy him, we'll take it. And thank you, Breuer. I think Breuer could have been a good player, but in the runway he had times to put his mark and put his stamp on Chelsea, he really didn't take that opportunity to do. He had a lot of opportunities when Chelsea didn't have a main striker when he came back in to make his mark, but he really didn't. And then he went to Fulham, which I thought he was going to be playing just to show his quality. But Marco Silva didn't play him this season. So that whole loan deal was a bust. And so now, all of a sudden, we're hearing of teams in Europe wanting to sign Armando. That's really it's a testament to his not his talent, because we've seen some of his talent, but his potential. Because right now, I think they're just evaluating what he's worth based on potential, because we've not really seen that much of him. And also, just like Connor, he has a very great opportunity to show his worth at the Euros, for because I think he's the number one option for his country. I think it's Albania. That's who he's playing for. And so if he can go to the Euros and bag in a bunch of goals, then yeah, now I can see why clubs are looking. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens to Breuer, and how he performs in the Euros, and if he can actually increase his stock for us to get a lot more money for him moving forward. And as for Ian Masson, I I still don't understand why Pot Pochettino will send him on loan to Dortmund when we needed a left back at Chelsea this season. I don't get that. He sends Masson to Dortmund and then brings Cassidy back, who was having a great loan spell at Leicester, who was getting game time. Bring Cassidy back to Stamford Bridge, and then don't play him. If I'm Cassidy, I'm really pissed off, because I was playing under Maresca at Leicester. I was one of his first choices. I was impacting the game. I was getting game time experience. And then halfway in the season, they yanked me back to Stamford Bridge, and I'm sitting on the bench. And I'm coming in 5 minutes to a game, 2 minutes to the end of the game. That's not good for a player confidence. That's not good for a player development. I don't know why Pochettino made that decision. He could have easily gone brought back Andres Santos from Strasbourg, our parent club, well, not parent club, but our partner club. You know, and that would have filled in the gap, instead of taking that young man from a situation where he was developing and getting better, and gaining confidence, and bring him back to Stamford Bridge and just shatter his confidence again, because he was not playing. the biggest thing in football is if you want to get better, is game time. You can practice all you want, but if you're not getting gain experience and playing day in and day out, you're not gonna get better, and that's the biggest thing for young talent. And it will be very interesting to see what happens to Cassidy again, because most likely they're gonna send him out on loan again, and for him to try that spell again, because with all these new players coming in, oh, who knows? Probably Maresca at who utilize him at Leicester might keep him. The question is how much game time he's gonna get in that Chelsea midfield, because there's a lot of players in there, a lot of players that are literally on paper better than him. But then again, we'll see if it's gonna be an injury prone season again. Well, players like Cassidy will get an opportunity, because that was the same manager that was playing him at Leicester. So hopefully he can give him some game time at Chelsea. And but it'll be very interesting to see how this summer goes. And the transfer window is still open, and there's a lot of moving parts. The Copa America is about to start. The European Championship is about to start. So it's very exciting time for soccer fans, and we look forward to enjoying this summer of a lot of football, and can't wait for the Premier League season to start. Thank you for being with me today. This is Pitch Perspective, and until we see you again, on to the next episode. Do it.